America has actually been the bad guy. I will say the American people are good people. The American government is a different story.
Our representatives,
they don't represent us.
They want so badly to control us. Like, they want to push so hard against that stuff because it takes away their power up top.
There you go.
You know, and in the Constitution, it says, like, if a tyranny comes into play, because they put in so many laws that we don't vote on, they just put in the laws. It says not only are you allowed to, but you're supposed to take those people out of power and institute an actual good constitutionalist government with actual representatives of the people. But we're so distracted with everything.
Disclaimer. The following program delves into sensitive political, moral, and religious topics. The host's unique perspectives may challenge traditional viewpoints and provoke thoughtful conversations. That's the point, though. Viewer discretion is advised, as the content is intended for mature audiences who appreciate nuanced discussions on complex subjects. The content discussed here is for entertainment purposes only. Enjoy the show. How you guys doing? We're back with another episode, Fourth Wall Podcast Show. Got my guy here with me, Tausifur. SeeJayy the Architect here with you. And we got a special guest, actually. You want to introduce yourself?
Well, Tristan.
Briston.
We don't
It's
want
actually Briston. He's a certified blood. I don't think
forgot
people know
about
that. Certified blood in the streets, man.
Yeah, we got our guy Tristan here, man. Me and Toss used to work with him over at ADT a couple years back. You know, was that during the Trump era?
Yeah, it was good times.
It
man.
was it was interesting
times,
time, man.
you know? Beautiful times. I miss those days.
Until he who shall not be named stole our. We found out
yes.
he stole our funds from us.
Yes.
Yeah, we learned a lot, you know. So I kind of consider Tristan here, you know, one of my good friends, you know, almost like a brother, because it was like a period in where we were all learning stuff.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. We all went through that journey, you know.
Yeah,
so.
and I bring up Trump because he was it was that era, like, if you know what we're talking about, that era, like right before, you know, COVID. You know, if you know, if you were getting money that year, like, you know what Trump was doing for you in a way. Like, people always talk about, like, oh, Trump, you know, he didn't do this, but if you were making money, you had that 1099.
Hey, shout out Trump, man. Hey, shout out for the stimmy too, man.
It was a good.
Hey, shout out for them stimmies, bro. You know
But yeah, you know where we're at on Instagram, SeeJayy_the_kid. Our guy over here.
Toss got some sauce.
I don't know if you want to still be low key, you want to keep it, or if you want to put your
Nah, you don't gotta
Instagram
follow
out
me.
there. Yeah, you know, some people don't want, you don't want to be, you know, hounded by new followers. It just, but if you find them, you know, and you'd have to go digging, but obviously,
Hey, look, I'll say this
open
much.
conversation. You can
If you wanna stumble upon some of the realest memes you'll see, okay, it's your boy right here. If you're ready for that discussion, though. But we'll have the discussion in this podcast, and we'll kind of gauge it and see. But you know, depending on how it goes, we gonna drop the handle on it. All right.
All right.
But yeah, man. Again, follow us at Fourth Wall Show on Instagram to get updates of, you know, all our drops. Follow us on YouTube also at Fourth Wall Podcast Show. But yeah, getting into it. How you been, man? I haven't seen you in a long time.
It's
you know?
been years.
Yeah.
Dude.
You know, we've talked not recently, but you know, Instagram, and I see you post stuff and stuff like that. So how have you been? How you been doing?
Pretty good. Like, the years have been good, other than like this year. Like,
Okay.
This year has like I told you, it's like been like the best and worst year I guess I've had in a really long time. I don't know. I just I've lost a lot, but also gained a lot. Like, in losing so much, I gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of, like, I don't know, like, strength, I guess, like mental fortitude.
Been like a humbling experience.
100%.
Yeah, I feel it, man. You know, this is I mean, look, we all dated that astrology chick. You know what I'm saying? So they would always hit you with that, oh, you're going to go through your Mercury retrograde, you know? So I feel like we all went through that retrograde and we made it on the other side, right?
Exactly.
I do to that point feel, I mean, I've never been with a girl like that, but I do agree with you in the sense of, some of us have I feel like the real ones know that moment in their life that was so tough. And it's one of those times where during the time you were in that moment, it was tough. You were like, damn, like, how am I going to get out of it? But coming out of it, you then think back, like, you know what? Like, if it wasn't for that moment, I wouldn't be who I am. Like, I wouldn't have that, like, new, like, insight on life if it wasn't for that moment. Like, in the moment, it was tough. But now looking back, you're like, you know what? That made me, you know, stronger.
100%.
So it's a bittersweet thing, but it's more of like, if you endure it enough to get to the end of that tunnel, like, you know, it's like Dragon Ball Z, you know, when you die, when they come back to life, they get stronger.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to die first before you come out to that, you know, Super Saiyan.
100%.
So, no, I feel you.
Yeah, man. I mean, the nature of our job when we was doing it, man, is just, you got to fail enough times to get good at it.
Yeah. That's
You know?
true.
Like,
That's just life in
if
general.
anybody knows, you know, knocking door to door, ADT, man, you're going to take a lot of L's. But it's up to you to turn that L into a lesson. So I feel like, you know.
Hey, 2 L's equal a W.
Hey.
You know?
All right. Okay,
That's
cookie.
That's math. 2 negatives equal a positive, right? Technically speaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I feel like, you know, if you can have that sort of mental fortitude, man, and just make it to the other side, shit's always going to hit the fan. It's just, you'll know how to maneuver. Yeah, man. Speaking about shit hitting the fan, you know, I mean, y'all seen this whole solar eclipse thing going on and everything like that, you know.
Yeah, that was what last
couple
early
weeks
last
ago.
week. No,
Yeah.
it was about a week ago. Yeah, I didn't see it. Did it hit California?
It was like halfway.
Yeah.
So we got like a crescent sun.
We got a crescent sun.
Yeah.
And I just remember that morning everyone was going crazy. I forgot what time it was, maybe like 9 or maybe to 10 o'clock in the morning.
It's like at 11
on
in the morning.
ABC. You know, they're like a special segment, like, oh, the solar eclipse thing. I'm like, damn, like it's everywhere. They're interviewing like the on ABC Good Morning America. They're like crying. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Like, we're all here together. It's just an amazing experience. I'm like, dang, like. And my grandma, you know, she's old school. You know, she's you know, foreign. She's from Holland, so she's like, you know, like, Americans are so, you know, dramatic. Like, everything's so like, why are people crying? Like, and so she actually lived through one of them. Well, she's obviously still alive, but she experienced one of them when she was a kid, while she was in Nigeria. And she said she didn't know what it was. Like, they were like outside playing, and all of a sudden it got dark. So everyone just started screaming like, "Oh my gosh! Like, it's getting dark! Oh my gosh! The gods are coming! The world is ending!" And
That's not dramatic.
and they didn't know, but they didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And now for her, she was watching it now. She was like, "Oh yeah," like she remembers, like, you know, what it was like, but. People weren't like crying like, oh my gosh, like this is so magical. And churches were, because they were saying it's like a spiritual thing. Because that was like and again, I'm thinking like, why is the like mainstream media all of a sudden putting like spiritual, you know, like, oh, this is a spiritual moment and stuff like that. I think it was in Texas it also happened, something like that. Like
it went up through Texas, up from Texas, like the east side of Texas, and then just went up the United States.
And there was like a church. There was like a church gathering. They were all doing it, and one of the ABC like newscasters was with them. They're all saying, yeah, you know, this is you know, something that a God created. You know, the guy's just talking like, yeah, I've never seen anything like this. Like, this is so beautiful. Like, you know, I'm like, dang, like what's the significance? But like, I understand it's a you know, a special moment. And I mean, personally, I feel like, yeah, this is a God created moment, you know. But there's always been that battle between science and religion. So why is it all of a sudden they're pushing the religion narrative when usually back in the day it's like, oh, let's head over to National Geographic and they'll have like scientific reasoning behind, oh, this is why, blah blah blah. Now it was just more like, oh, this is a spiritual time.
I mean, you sent me that Bible quote, right?
Oh yeah, you have it up, or
I mean,
yeah,
I was looking for it, but you know,
yeah, Joel 2:31, the sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood before the great and the terrible day of the Lord come.
There you go. And if anybody is nuanced enough to kind of understand like the ebbs and flows of how things have been going lately, and for somebody like myself, I didn't grow up, well, look, I grew up Muslim, you know, you're forced to grow up religious, but that can have a counter effect to where it kind of pushes you away from God to a certain extent. But I had to come back to Christ mainly because prophecy is something that's undeniable. And that right there, you know, what it's talking about, that eclipse happened, and lo and behold, what happens a few days later? World War III is finna kick off. You know what I'm saying? And it was already, you know, the gears of that was already turning.
Yeah, it's turning.
You know, so this is just further, it's just further confirmation, you know, and there's so many things out there in the world that's designed to keep you distracted and not paying attention to the things that you're supposed to be paying attention to.
Yeah, and especially at a time like this with the whole, like, even beyond Iran, obviously you're referring to the Iran bombing or retaliating against Israel. But even then, it's like at a time where we have Palestine going through
Genocide.
It's like, why are we making this a big deal? Like, there's other things going on. Like, but at the same time, you have people be like, oh, don't, you know, this isn't a good time to sell this book because of what's going on. It's like, is this something that important to look past, you know, what's actually going on? And so to your point of a distraction, I do feel like, yeah, it's kind of overhyped when there's other stuff that we could, you know, if it's like, if we're not going to talk about that, let's not overhype stuff that doesn't have to be overhyped.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, 100%.
They want us focusing on certain things so that we're not looking at other things. You know, they do that with everything. You know, they'll create something big because, like, it's like every time something big happens, like a terrorist attack or just any just anything that's like big in the news, like they're shoving something in your face in the news, Congress is like writing some law into effect, or the president's doing something behind the scenes.
That's true.
So like with all this, because like, I mean, think about it, like at the beginning of like Biden's presidency, it was all about Ukraine, Russia. And then once all the Israel-Palestine shit popped off, it was like nobody even cares about Ukraine and Russia anymore. We don't hear anything about
Bro,
it.
give me my money back. That's my shit. Man, the hell with Ukraine, man. I'll speak for myself. I don't give a damn about Ukraine, bro. My goddamn money back, man.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, it was a big thing. It was just like how we were doing the, you know, I think the difference is
they overhyped it though when the Ukraine thing kicked. Be honest.
I think again,
when the Ukraine thing kicked off, did you feel sorry? Did you really feel sorry? Did you see like total carnage, like people that no, bro, a couple buildings got, you know, blown up and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I've seen some footage. I've seen some fucked up footage. Like there's
of Ukraine or the Russians.
Okay, it's hard to tell. It's sometimes hard to tell because, for one, they speak almost the same language, so like you can't really differentiate.
They do speak the same.
To us.
That's the thing is like Ukrainians can understand Russian, but Russians can't understand Ukrainian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I learned because my dad lives, or my bio dad, he lives in Germany, and his fiance is Ukrainian, so he's like learning like all this different stuff about Ukraine stuff. But like a lot of those videos of like drones like coming down, like dropping shit on people that are like surrendering or just hitting like random civilians. A lot, like, my dad's gonna be mad at me for saying this, but like a lot of it's like Ukrainian drones dropping shit on like,
that's what I'm saying,
like Russians that are like praying for it to not happen. It's not like they're like fighting or anything like that. It's like they're dropping these bombs on wounded soldiers.
Sending us updates, like at least after, you know, bringing us to the awareness of what's going on. It's like there's no updates anymore of what's going on. It's just like let's just move on to the next big thing.
But notice the media agenda though. It's like they want to paint Ukraine as the ones being oppressed and stuff like that, when, like you were saying, when it comes to the ethics of war, they're the ones that are acting less morally. And they see, the media goes out of their way to really demonize like Russia for the longest time. Even with them Rocky movies, bro. Like they always try to make it seem like Russians are like the worst.
Isn't that it's always been a thing though? Hasn't Russia and American always like
Ever since the 80s, honestly, like since the Cold War, they've always tried to demonize Russia.
Well, the 50s, technically, right after World War II.
I think it's also to sell. Because when you look at it, you look at all these Marvel movies, right? What was it, Captain America?
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier. It's always like Russian
still
spies.
Russians,
It's always
yep.
so. I think from there, even in Bond, I believe there's always like it's always like, oh, Russian spies. That's always like the enemy. So it's always become like a thing to have that as like the
to have them as the adversary.
Yeah, you know.
But again, everything is so like ass backwards when you really think about it and you look outside the box, and you can kind of notice it now with the way that America is kind of going through like who they're supporting and stuff like that. America has actually been the bad guy in most, if not, like 90% of the situations. America has been the bad guy.
I don't know about
okay.
I don't know about bad guy. I feel like Americans are the ones
The
who stand
American
behind.
people are look. I will say the American people are good people. The American government is
the
a
ones who
different
represent
story.
us. Our representatives.
They don't represent us. They don't.
They want so badly to control us. Like, the reason they push so hard for so many things is because in our Constitution it literally says that if you have a government that's in power that is going against your rights, that is going against your God-given rights, there's a reason they put in there that they're God-given rights. These are not government-given rights. These are rights for all human beings, essentially, like right to bear arms, right to free speech, freedom of the press, and everything like that. They want to push so hard against that stuff because it takes away their power up top.
There you go.
You know, and in the Constitution it says if a tyranny comes into play, which is what we see today, like if a tyranny comes into play, because they put in so many laws that we don't vote on, they just put in the laws. It says not only are you allowed to, but you're supposed to take those people out of power and institute an actual good constitutionalist government with actual representatives of the people. But we're so distracted with everything.
Exactly.
Consumerism and whatever is on the news and whatever war is going on. Like, it's just constant. No matter what you're looking at, there's constant propaganda everywhere. It's like the movie They Live. It's like once you see that movie, you start noticing everything. Like, that's what you start to see is like the propaganda just in everything. And
that brings up a question. Why haven't we had anyone try and change up the Constitution? Like, it's the same Constitution, unless there's a rule or something that's like, oh, you can never change. But it's the same one made by these old dudes from back in the day. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's like, isn't there a time to revise things?
The thing is this, though.
Like,
it's not
really
they add things to the Constitution. In my belief, the Constitution was divinely inspired. Like in my belief, because like I said, for one, these are God-given rights, and they're rights specifically for the freedom of the people. Like, so do you like the Constitution the original Constitution? 100%, yeah. Okay. Like that Constitution was used to free the slaves. Okay. That Constitution was used to basically push for civil rights, push for everything that we've had in America. I know when it was written, we didn't have all of that, but the things that came out of it were because of the Constitution and what was written there. Okay, pro-Constitution.
The foundational ideas of the Constitution. Now, here's the thing, though, what you were almost alluding to a little bit as far as like changing. The thing that needs to be changed is the regime in control of the government. Why did January 6th happen? And the way they blew that whole thing up, January 6th, like, oh, this is one of the worst things that...
They still talk about it today. Like,
they try to make it seem like it's 9/11 or some shit.
They literally said that. They said this is like another 9/11. The news said that.
That is right there. Example number one of retards.
In a way, as it being like a terrorist attack in a way, because it was like,
how is it a terrorist attack?
Open the doors and let them. They walked in single file.
They were terrorizing a national monument or whatever in a way, like a special place.
That's the way they framed it.
But it still doesn't amount to what happened in 9/11.
Even if you put
belongs to the people.
Yeah, even if you put the worst type of suspicions on that, it still doesn't not even like a little increment of what 9/11 was.
They tried to blow that up.
Here's the thing too about that whole situation. When you look into it, they had to prop it up as like one of the worst things that happened to the nation, because that situation right there is one of the biggest threats that can happen to the people that are in government right now. Because when you storm the Capitol like that, okay, they had to put in their little CIA agitators in there, you know what I'm saying, to start, you know, to create that narrative, you know what I'm saying. Look into it, all right? Look into it. Do your own research, all right? Look into it. They
like, well, I was just gonna say, like they said all that shit about January 6th, where barely any property damage happened. Like the worst thing that happened was that somebody took a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
Hey,
like,
I like Nancy Pelosi, to be
but
honest.
what?
motherfucker wild,
I mean,
bro.
I'm not gonna lie. There's a bias there. I'm an old lady guy. Okay.
All right, never mind.
You saw that one picture where her tits were out, dude. That was
She paid a lot of money for them tits.
I saw a couple pictures.
Paid a lot of money for
I've
them
seen a couple.
tits.
Hey, Nancy, if your husband
Bitch pushing 90.
doesn't make
That's all
it,
I'm gonna say.
you know, I'm just saying.
But like they said all that shit about January 6th, but when the riots were happening in 2020 and they literally burnt down billions of dollars of property, like small business, a lot of small businesses, like a hell of a lot of small
A
businesses.
lot of black businesses too.
Yeah, exactly. And like they there were literally people on the news that were like, well, when did they say that protests were supposed to be peaceful? Like these people are our enemies. Like the people that are in the news, what was it? Operation Paperclip.
Mockingbird.
Yeah, Operation Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Dude, they put in specially trained people into the news and into these modems of media, because if you're not specially trained or governmentally trained, you will spew things that are against the narrative, whatever narrative that they want to be pushed.
Exactly. That's why with these people, man, like Anderson Cooper and Don Lemon, you could just smell the fugazi out there.
Yeah,
This dude, Don Lemon, man, we should be cooking this dude every day, man. He done fumbled the bag with Elon Musk, asking for a Cybertruck, and then you're going to have him on your show and you're going to have that type of interview with him. What you think was going to happen?
I think it's the fact that anything that has to do with Donald Trump, they tried to create like a huge villainous, you know, and same with Russia. Like, Trump is friends with Putin. Like, so anything that has to do with Russia is automatically like, oh, they're affiliated with Trump, so it's bad. Like, even then, what's happening there is not equivalent to what's happening with the whole Palestine and Israel thing. So it's like, it just has to do with Trump. Now that Biden's in power, right, and this is all happening, we're not hearing the same, oh, if Trump wasn't in power, you know, this and that. Like, instead, they're going along with him. He's signing bills to send money to Israel, and everyone's just like, okay, yeah, everything's cool.
Like, we're hearing like Biden's doing a great job. Biden's one of the best presidents we've ever had. Man, we sure do.
I'm not even picking a side. I'm not even picking a side.
You should be picking a side.
It's just a matter of, let's keep the same energy with both sides. Like, let's not just say, oh, this guy's a Democrat, so he's a good guy. This guy's a Republican, so he's like, it's Donald Trump. He's a villain. Like, anything he does, like, come on, man. He just his jurors, who he's supposed to have for his court case.
Oh yeah,
a lot of them backed out. Because they were like, I don't feel comfortable.
I can't be impartial,
Yeah, and it's because America's villainizing this guy so much. People are like, well, he's such a villain. Like, isn't it obvious? Like, no matter what you guys say, I think I'm going to say, put this guy away. So that's not fair to him. Pick someone who's in. But we can't, because all the news they put, oh, he's a bad guy, he's a villain. I'm seeing stuff on TV about Stormy Daniels still.
Yeah.
Like, why are we talking about her? Why?
We talking about
because she's affiliated with Trump. Look how Trump destroyed her painting. A guy's in a court case. Why are we tampering with this?
It's from like 2016, man. This is the thing, though.
I'm just saying, keep the same energy.
No, this is the thing, though. See, now you can see it blatantly of what the media actually represents.
Yeah.
Because it's like what Donald Trump actually represents. It's not even, because at the end of the day, with Donald Trump, he's a part of the club too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, he loves Israel.
Yeah, he loves it. Well, you know, he's obligated to love Israel and shit like that. But what he represents to like the American people, the people that love like America's foundational ideas, that rebellious mentality, that's the thing that's dangerous to the people that are in power. You know, to the Democratic Party, the left wing, and all the other cucks that support this type of ideology. So at the end of the day, man, I'm going to tell you this right now. And I said this for a couple of episodes already. You don't elect the right guy into power, it's going to be another January 6th. It might not be on the 6th, but hey, look, it ain't just going to be white people storming the Capitol this time, all right? That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, something will, the next couple months, will.
And like I said,
decide
we already had the
America.
disclaimer on this show, okay? And we're not condoning any type of, doing anything
Of course
like
not.
that.
No,
We're saying it might happen.
This is for
Yeah.
entertainment
Following,
purposes
yeah.
only. If you did make that decision to join that front, just know the people that love this country love you as well.
You can see the pattern.
You
You
do
can
that.
you can see the pattern. But on that topic, we're talking about religion. We're talking about how the whole solar eclipse may have, in the Bible, how it says, that may signify, what's to come. So we had this bombing, Iran retaliating. Actually, what I heard at first, what happened was Israel
They bombed the consulate in
Thinking that it was-
Syria.
Yeah, they killed
thinking
like
that it was,
7
like
British
a-
people.
There was like 7 high-ranking Iranian generals over there, something like that. But even then, you bombed a consulate.
Yeah, so Israel they were actually playing it. They were like, "Oh, we didn't know it was going to be that serious."
That's what they're gonna say, but they knew.
How would they didn't know it was going to be that serious?
See, here's the thing, and I'm going to say this as boldly as possible. You can't trust anything Israel says. You can't trust any type of information coming out of that government because they just have a long history of lying. They lie more than they breathe. Look, hey, small hats, this doesn't help the stereotypes. That's all I'm going to say, all right? Get realistic. Take the pickle at your asshole and understand that this doesn't help your type of reputation.
All their excuses so far have been kind of half-assed, but
Not
I'm
half-ass,
surprised.
full ass, straight up.
We
Booty
saw
hole.
y'all in the tunnels, dude. We saw the tunnels.
Yeah, exactly. And my thing is like, okay, if we can see this, why is America still acting like, okay, like just turn a blind eye? We saw the tunnels. You're right. We saw that.
You know why they're
And we're
turning a
not
blind
seeing
eye, though.
any, like, isn't that enough to be like, okay, hold up, like
To the reasonable person,
with
yeah.
Diddy,
Yes, to the
but with
reasonable
Diddy,
person,
but with
exactly.
Diddy, we hear some fake clips, and all of a sudden it's, oh yeah, let's get Diddy. Like, let's get.
Well, look, not all them clips was fake, all right? This is not a great example, but look,
I'm
this
just
is,
saying, keep the same energy, man.
no, you're
that's the type
right.
of energy I'm on.
You're
Keep the
right.
same
You are
energy.
right about that. The energy that goes into that whole Diddy thing, same energy
Put it
by
on,
the
you know,
media
on
at
every
least.
villain.
By
Every
the
villain.
media at least is not going into what Israel and the Zionists are doing because nobody knows this. I don't think everybody knows this, but Netanyahu just came out with a press conference where he was talking about reestablishing settlements in Gaza. So this whole time it was about a land grab. You get what I'm trying to say? This whole time, like, just think about how ridiculous that is. You just genocided almost like 30,000 people in this country, talking about it was self-defense or defeating Hamas, and 9-to-1 ratio, it's a civilian as opposed to even killing like an actual combatant. And now he's talking about reestablishing settlements there. It's always been about a land grab. And anytime you talk about this stuff, you're anti-Semitic. Okay? It is what it is.
There was even a valedictorian. I don't know.
Oh, in
too
USC.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
USC chick. Yeah. And they didn't let her speak or
They
something.
didn't let her
like that, right?
speak.
Why? Like, what?
See, this is the thing.
Is that
If
serious?
If I was a
Freedom of speech, right?
Here's the thing. If I was a Zionist that didn't have my head up my ass,
That's crazy.
I would be thinking to myself, hey, we're doing a little too much here, okay? We're making it a little too obvious. I don't know what it is with y'all Zios, man. Like the level of entitlement. Maybe y'all got a little bit of schizophrenia going on in your head. Like y'all really think, like, it's almost insulting to us, you know, the goyim. It's almost insulting to us, where it's like you think we're that dumb that we're just gonna continue to play along and not see what you guys are doing.
Well, because that's the thing is so many people do. Like they've done it for so long. So many people do fall into that. Like, and so in the Torah, like they literally believe that they are chosen by God, that they are God's people, and that the whole world belongs to them. Like that's what they say, that when their Messiah comes, because they didn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah.
They believe in the Antichrist.
When their Messiah comes is when when Jews will totally rule the earth. Like when they will totally rule the earth. But like when Jesus came and spread his message, like Christ, that's a title. That wasn't his name. That wasn't anything. That's like when people say like into like the Christ-like mindset. Like he, like in my opinion, like he was the true Messiah, because like what you were talking about, like with prophecy, like he fulfilled like 300 different prophecies that were given in the Torah and the Old Testament, all 300 of them. And the prophecies that he's been giving in Revelation, like, I mean, you can say like, oh, those prophecies are being fulfilled, but also like some of the things like I feel like are like being fulfilled on purpose almost to bring about the apocalypse.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't understand, like what churches spew and everything like that, is like, oh, the apocalypse is going to be like the end of the world. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's going to be the end of the old world. Because in Greek, apocalypsos, that's where like the word comes from. It what it means is like a lifting of the veil. And so when that apocalypse comes, it's going to be a lifting of the veil of the lies that we're living in and the full truth coming to see us. Like, I don't think that Jesus is going to come down in the sky with an actual flaming sword and do whatever. I believe it's going to be millions of people that gain an actual Christ-like mindset and gain like the things that Christ could do.
Yo, bro, cooking right here, man. Somebody dropped the Don DeMarco.
I was gonna say,
so we had him on the show, man.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You say that. Even it was close when you said drop the veil. I was like, that almost kind of sounds like drop the vault. Because when you talk about creating a new world, like you said, a forced apocalypse. So there's a new show, Fallout. I don't know if you've watched it or if you even know about, based off the video game.
I know Fallout.
But yeah, so it's like they kind of forced that apocalypse to happen in order for them to build that new world, for them to kind of have that Christ-like power to where they're the ones, in charge. And when you say drop the veil, it's like, okay, they dropped the vault on these dudes. They had them, underground, and then, so that's crazy, man. It's stuff like, I like conversations like this when stuff starts to add up. Just out of nowhere, it's like, that's not coincidence, man. So
if you look hard enough, everything connects. Every single thing that happens connects to something else. And that's another thing with the Bible. Like, the Bible is like one of the most there's hyperlinks in everything. Like there are in the New Testament, there in almost every single verse that you see, it will connect with something in the Old Testament. Like there's like a whole diagram where it's just thousands of lines that are connecting all these different like things together, and like, it's just crazy. Like I watched on I don't know if it was on. No, it was the day before Easter. I watched Passion of the Christ for the first time.
The Mel Brooks one?
Yeah.
Or is it Mel Brooks or
Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson. Yeah. Dude, that movie's crazy.
I remember that when that first came out,
and I can see why a lot of the higher ups hate that fucking movie. Because it showed the actual pain he went through, like the stuff that he was saying, and just like from the videos that I watch, it's like all the apostles of Jesus, they all died in like horrible ways. Like, one was like skinned alive and then forced to like wear the skin again. One was, or a couple of them were crucified. There was, I think it was St. Peter that was crucified upside down because
one of them,
he felt like he wasn't good enough to be crucified like Jesus. Another one was crucified on an X-shaped cross. Like, another one was actually the Roman who, when he stuck the spear into Jesus' side and the blood and water came out and it healed his eye, because he had like an eye malady is what they call it, and it healed his eye, and he said, oh man, this is the Son of God. And so he went out and started spreading the gospel and spreading like, yo, this guy healed my eye, like all of this. He was like cut in half. Like, they cut him in half. Like, do you really think that these people are gonna go out and die for something that they didn't see or didn't experience?
Exactly.
They were saying that Jesus walked on water. They were saying that Jesus healed the sick. They were saying all of this. And even with Jesus, like, if you look at like the Gospel of Thomas, which is one of the books that was taken out, like one of the 13 books that was taken out, Jesus says, like, you can all be like me. Like, it's not just me that can do this, but if you reach a certain mindset and a certain like level, then you can do what I can do. It's not just me. That's where the saying, when he says, like, you can blaspheme against the Father, you can blaspheme against the Son, and you will be forgiven, but you will not be forgiven if you blaspheme the Spirit. And what that says to me, like, when I read that like, changed me from like, oh, maybe I'm an atheist, maybe I'm not still questioning, to like, oh shit, that makes sense. Because he's not saying like,
Crazy.
like you have to be Christian or you have to be this in order to be forgiven or reach paradise. He's saying you just have to believe that there's a creator.
Yeah.
You just have to believe that there's something out there, a power greater than yourself that created the world, and you will be all right.
And that's the thing some people are afraid of when it comes to like religion. They're afraid it's like, oh, I have to be like abide by these rules, which they are right. But again, it comes with, you know, discipline over time. Like the first step is just believing that there's a higher power, you know, above you. And then it comes with, okay, well, what are the moral, you know, it's all about morals. Like a lot of the rules in the Bible are very basic, you know, unless you're out there being a murderer or a rapist or whatever. Those are things that are like, obviously like, yeah, man, that's bad. But if you just even if you, I'm not going to go to church every Sunday, but you're a good father, you're a good worker, you're a good neighbor, you know, you're doing the right thing. That's, you know, that's enough. And you're aware that there is somebody there, you know, and you wake up every morning, you think that, you know, thank God for, you know, then, you know, that's enough. That's enough.
You bring up a good point though, and then he kind of like opened it up a little bit too, and it's all about the spirit, you know. And when you talk about a word like religion, and you think about it in this modern day, all the negative connotations that comes along with that, you're immediately kind of like
Uncomfortable.
Exactly. The way that society and media propaganda kind of like sculpts your mind into thinking like that's a bad thing now. Like how things have been so ass backwards now. Like they're trying, even through film, through video games, through whatever, you know, even music, like it's just trying to condition you into thinking like, to separate you further and further from God.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's really the mission right now. And now I would say we're living in the time of revelations, because we're so far away from God that now God is going to have to come back and force his hand.
Put the whip on us.
Put the whip on him. Coming back. Son going to come back with the sword, you know? And people about to find out. If you don't wake up sooner rather than later, and you still have that type of mindset and you still playing around, you're going to find out. It's just, it's crazy right now. Just look at the way the world is looking. The eclipse was just ushering in the times to come. If you don't grab your Bible, what the Bible also is, it's a history book as well. It's I believe in prophecy, man. So a lot of the stuff that's being said on there, we're looking at the firsthand effects of it.
And there's also something like with the connotation of religion, like one of the reasons at least I don't like that word specifically is because when you have a religion, you're going to church, you know, you're listening to what a pastor says. Okay, you're listening to the pastor's idea or his version of the book. In my opinion, like 90% of Christians out there have not read the Bible front to back. Nope. Like the whole point of the Bible is that you read it yourself. Your church is supposed to be your mind. Like is what you believe. It's steps to help you in life. You're not supposed to be listening to somebody else's version of that, because the whole point of the Bible is your relationship. And like the whole point of Christianity versus like Catholicism is like Catholicism, you have to do works. You have to do things. You have to pray a certain amount of times a day. You have to pray to saints rather than praying straight to God.
Exactly.
You know? That was something that like always got me. I was like, that's polytheistic as shit. You know, if you're praying to different saints or gods for certain things, because there's certain saints, certain angels that they say, you know, oh, I lost something, I need to find it. Okay, I'm going to pray to Michael or something like that, you know? It's like, no, you have to, the whole point of Christ's message was that you have to have a direct connection with the Spirit and with God, you know? It can't come from all these things, because the whole point of Jesus coming was the leaders of Judaism at the time, they were screwing shit up. Like in the temple, there were money changers. There were people giving out loans and like people selling stuff and everything like that. Like they would like somebody would walk up, because animal sacrifice is a big thing in Judaism, and so they would bring in like a goat, and then one of the high ranking rabbis or whatever, they'd be like, oh, that goat's not good enough. But if you go over to Schmeckel over there, he's got goats that are just great for the Lord. And so you can go buy those over there but those goats cost like a super inflated price. Yep. And so when Jesus saw that, that's why he started flipping tables, and he was like, no, this is not what God is about. You can't be doing this in God's temple. Like, that's the whole thing with Jesus, is like, he reached such a mindset that he became so connected with the Spirit that, yes, he became God incarnate, or God in the flesh, because he literally reached a mindset where he was. Yeah. You know, and it's just...
It runs deep, man.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
You know, at the end of the day, it's like, if we lived in a perfect world, in a righteous world, they would have the Bible in schools, you know? They would have you become a scholar about it to try your best to reach that level of Christ consciousness.
They don't want you to have that power.
Yeah, they don't want
they
you.
They don't want that power to be for everybody.
They don't want that. That's why, you know, now like the academic system is designed to make you a slave to money, to become somebody else's, you know, worker.
Those college debt is not. Not even Biden could get rid of it. No. You're trying.
You know, the downturn of society, honestly, and look, we should have called them out a long time ago. The people that are still continuing to like condone this type of like poisonous sentiment towards Zionists and Israel and stuff. Y'all boomers dropped the ball, man. Y'all suck. Yeah, bro. Like, y'all are the worst generation, man. Y'all really done messed it up. And some of these cucks in the boomer generation continue to believe that these are the people, these same people that spit on Christians are the ones that are gonna, we need to deliver them to the promised land and then bring in man, what the hell is going on? This is the type of like ideology you need to learn from. First of all, they messed up. They were way too permissive about all these poisonous these poisonous agendas that were, you know, going on after World War II. You know what I'm saying? Like, it started poisoning just American society, and then this is the trickle down effect of it. America, again, it's not a real country. At least it's not owned by Americans.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not in the sense of like every single, like in every single other country, like there's like a history there. There's like a history that created that country, but America's like what, like 250 years old or something like that.
Something like that.
Like,
yeah.
But every other country, like Italy, there's Italians who have had like familial generations for thousands and thousands of years that have been there. But like with America, we're different in the senses that like we're just a huge melting pot of like the whole world essentially, you know, which it's not a bad thing, but it does set us apart from the rest of the world. And I think that's what sort of makes us like better, especially with the Constitution and everything like that. Like, that's why we run shit, is because we are the essentially like the micro world. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, no, because it's a whole bunch of different worlds,
different cultures and different mindsets and everything coming together. And like I watched this one TikTok of this one British dude that came to live in America, and he was like, oh, when I was in Britain, there were so many British people that were like, oh, Americans they're not well traveled and stuff like that. And he was like, well, I understand that now, because America's so fucking huge, and like with so many different biomes, different like it's like you go from one state to the next state, and it's a completely different culture. Like you go from California over to Utah, it's a whole different world.
I mean, it's no more blacks. No more.
But you know what I'm saying? Like when I used to do this job where I would
get salty as hell.
I used to do this job where I would sell vape juice, like just out of the back of a van. Like they would pay for the van, then I would just sell boxes of vape juice. And so they would send us to different states. And so when I went to like the southern states, it was such a culture shock, just like in the way that just people talk to you and like greeted you and stuff. Like southern hospitality is like a real fucking thing, you know? And like it's that's one of the things with America is like we in just each different state is like its own country basically. Yeah, we call them states and we're all in the country of America, but each different state is like
It's got their own culture.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Goes back to just like the diversity of this is the unique thing about America. It's like the foundational values of it is really like it's ingrained within the people. Now, unfortunately, the system that's governing this is so corrupt, so sold out. Like these are soulless individuals. If you're somebody that's still out there viewing your candidate as somebody, like if you out here simping, okay, in rallies and stuff, coming out here like, I especially, you know, I'm gonna speak for you, all right? Okay. Especially for these certain, you know, black people that are out here still simping for Biden. Hey, man, you want to stay in the house? You want to stay in the house, buddy?
What got me with Biden was when he was running. Do you remember when he was talking with Charlemagne the God? And he was like, if you decide to vote for Trump, then you ain't black.
If you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Like
that's the same guy that signed the crime bill.
I'm talking to Charlemagne. He's going co-sign.
The same guy that signed the crime bill that put millions of black people in jail.
Kamala too.
Yeah,
she signed the shit. She's AG in California.
She not even real black.
Yeah, she's one of them.
Hey, look, as a fellow brown person, I know you're not black. Okay, too fugazi. All right, I see it in you. All right, and I know a fugazi brown person when I see them. All right. At the end of the day, people have to be nuanced and conscious enough to understand that these people do not represent you. And unfortunately, the sad reality of it is really going to come down to this, man. It's just like, it's going to be the people versus the government. It's like he was talking about earlier. We're going to have to start a militia and get these motherfuckers out.
It says it's our duty to.
It is our duty.
The citizens' duty to.
And why do you think the government is always trying to take away your guns, always trying to take away certain freedoms that give you that autonomy to be self-reliant, always trying to add in these policies where it says, oh, the government will incentivize you if you divorce your husband and become a single mother. You know, to break up the family nucleus, divide and conquer.
Like when people say, oh, the Democrat and the Republican Party switched with FDR, they didn't switch, the demographics switched. Because the Democrat Party has always been about controlling minorities.
Exactly.
And like Abraham Lincoln, he was the first Republican. When the switch happened, that's exactly what we were talking about. He signed a bill that put in it was essentially like welfare, and he incentivized that single mothers would get way more welfare than people who were married, which is completely backwards because we should be incentivizing people with like tax cuts for staying married and having more kids. Like if you're married and you have like 6 kids, you just shouldn't pay taxes, in my opinion. But
then overpopulation, people will just be having kids just to have kids.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't need to have so many people coming in.
Yeah.
Shit, I mean,
now you're incentivized to have kids.
But you can see that they can't control that.
You're incentivized to have kids.
Well, no, they choose not to control it. They choose not to control it.
Maybe. I guess in a way, maybe if that were the case, they'd finally be like, you know what? Yeah, you guys can't. There would be an actual wall or something.
But the thing is like the Biden administration, they willingly flew in thousands of people.
Just to be nice. But it's like, all right, we got other stuff going on. Why aren't we nice about that?
And also coming through, we're like...
Giving them free healthcare.
We're Chinese people. There were people from China, military-aged men. Like where are the women and children?
Exactly.
You
There's
know?
a bunch of dudes, man. It's a cock fest going on here, dog.
It's the same thing with
They're
Europe.
just coming to see bro play on the
So
Dodgers.
this is the thing for like the conspiracy-minded person that's just seeing these things happen. It's like there's a lot of dudes coming over these borders, man.
military-aged
Almost as
males.
if there might be a sleeper cell situation going on when like.
Well, like I was saying with Europe, like when the whole Syria thing happened, where they were like, oh, they're what's the word? When people are coming from war,
War-torn countries.
no, they're coming from war-torn countries, but there's a certain word for them. They're refugees. Yeah, so they were saying, oh, these people are refugees, but there were rarely any women or children coming over, and so Sweden, they took in like the most people from those countries, and they're like the rape capital of Europe. Because in those like countries, and then like part of the culture is like just rape is like a normal thing. It's like it's not as like looked down upon as it is in like civilized societies, you know. So like I don't mean to say it that way, but
it's like those movies where it's like a zombie apocalypse, and like some guy gets bit. He's like, hey, what happened to your whole family? It's like, he just hides a bite. He's like, nothing.
Yeah.
All right, come on in. It's like, you ain't gonna even check if he got any bites. Or
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, man. And it's crazy to me because that's what's happening. It's just a scary thing.
And again, these people, certain type of people that are pushing these policies for more refugees, more immigration, these war-torn countries, more war-torn countries being created in the Middle East of these people. Who's bombing them? You know, who's bombing them and then creating that toxic cycle of sending them in somewhere else and creating infighting amongst others? You know, this is the way they function. All right, and I'm gonna keep saying they. Okay, you could put the puzzle together. All right.
Before we do go, you did have a question. I don't know if you want to still go over that. You had a question about pretty much what was it? What is God? Or
Yeah, like in my opinion, or at least how I see God, I don't see God as like a man in the sky. Like I see God as the glue that fits everything together. Like when in high school, in middle school, I was like, I'm an atheist, because like I learned what an atheist was on the internet from like a meme, and I was like, what is that? I looked it up, and it was like, oh, it's a person that doesn't believe in God. And I was like, oh, that's allowed? And I was like, what's it called? I was just in my rebellious phase, like against my parents and against everything. I was just mad. So I was like, I'm not going to believe in God. And so when high school, or like I went all through high school with that mindset. And then senior year, I started like reading philosophy and like just getting more in tune with myself. And I like tried to disprove God. I was like, I'm going to come up with a concrete argument. I'm going to do all my research to where I'm like, nobody's going to be able to debate me that God exists. And like in that pursuit, I proved God to myself, and through math and science. Like people, it makes me so angry when people are like, "Oh, I'm a man of math and logic and science, and so God, that means like that's why I don't believe in a God."
I don't watch Godzilla.
No, like the worst thing that they did was they said, or was them saying that science disproves God, because it doesn't. Like if you look at, all you need to do is look up the Fibonacci sequence. Fibonacci sequence is a thing that happens in every part of nature. So what it is you start with 1, because with creation there is 1, because you can't have 0, you can't have nothing in creation, because so in the first creation there was 1. Okay? 1 plus 0 would equal 1. So, and then 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 1 equals 3, 3 plus 2 equals 5, 5 plus 3 equals 8, and so on. So the number that you're on now, you add it to the number that was behind it, and that gets your future number. And so that shows up in sunflower seeds, that shows up in how galaxies are formed, that shows up in how our atoms react with each other. Like Like that right there is a defined mathematic principle of creation. And in just a chaotic environment, you would not have a pattern because it's truly chaotic, like pi. Like pi has no repeating numbers because it's true chaos. Or like those chaos things that move around, like they never move in the same way. It's always fucked up. But because we have these patterns, there has to be a creator. There has to be. And also, if you look at just time itself, your past, what you learn from the past, if you attribute it to your present, that gives you your future. So adding your past and your present is what gives you your future. And, you know, the only we will never experience the future because we only experience things in the present. It's the same thing if you're writing down the Fibonacci sequence. You're only ever going to be on the number that you're writing. And the only way you can get the next number is if you add the past number. So to get that future number, once you write that future number down, you're in the present again. You know, that's just how so it's ingrained in everything, including time. So they're like, just for that to show up in every single thing means there has to be a creator. None of this is random. Like our bodies work too perfectly. Even going back to the eclipse, like our moon lines up so perfectly with the sun that they're the same size when they go across each other.
I know, almost as if they are the same size. Right?
But they showed like an example of like Mars, one of Mars's moons, and the moon was all fucked up. It was all like weird.
Yeah. Hey NASA, get your shit together.
Come on, guys.
Come on, man.
It's AI.
Write a better script.
It's AI. Yeah, it's AI. That's what it is.
But hey, look.
I really enjoyed, listening to everything you were saying, man.
Yo, Briston, hey, remember that movie Good Will Hunting? Bro, Briston was on that type of ism right now. Bro was cooking. That's why we wanted him on the show, man.
Hey, but yeah, always knowing you, like I've always known you to be like that type of that same wavelength.
Of course.
But like we just never really, at the time it was kind of like, I feel like we were still learning. Because again, I feel like at that time, like I said, it was like we were still like realizing a lot of shit.
Even nowadays, we're still learning.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but now it's just different because it's like
we've learned so much.
We've seen, we kind of like know, like it's like in an anime, like your first like serious battle.
We was in the tune in exam.
Yeah, you don't really know your abilities. You're still trying to figure it out. Your teammates how to work together. But now it's like we know our skills. We know how to like go crazy. So it was great having you on, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for
just
having
hearing
me.
your evolution. I'm always for it. I love hearing another person's evolution. What they had to go through to learn. And then become a better version of themselves. So
same thing for you guys. Seriously.
Yeah. Thanks, man. All of us. And
like this shit's great. Like just this is like such a step forward. Just keep on going with it. Keep on posting. Keep on doing everything. You guys will have millions of followers in no time.
Hey, we hope. We hope so, people are as brave are brave enough to just acknowledge what we're talking about here. This is real stuff.
Real recognize real, man. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, man. Hey, look, at the end of the day, everybody on this podcast right now, we all on some type of list.
I am, yeah.
Especially after this episode.
Especially after this episode.
I'm definitely a number.
Yeah, I hope our names are touching on the watch list.
Hey, look, man. If they do us like the apostles, man, there's worse ways to go out.
I ain't going out like that.
I call the X-shaped cross.
You said I ain't going out like that. I ain't gonna lie, man. I ain't trying to go out like that, man.
I'm shooting.
I'm finna off myself.
No, I'm shooting back. I'm going out with a.
Oh yeah,
you gotta find me.
No, you're right. That is true. If they gonna come after me, I'm gonna fight.
You gotta put a manhunt.
You gotta kill me. I ain't going through no torture, nothing like that. You gotta kill me.
But yeah, man. I want to make a quick shout out to my mom. Today is April 17th. It's her birthday. So
hey, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Miss SeeJayy.
Happy birthday.
But yeah, man.
It's my birthday tomorrow too, man. I ain't gonna disclose my age like that.
Okay.
Happy birthday, dude. Happy birthday.
Host, it is tomorrow. But yeah, man, this was a great episode, man. Again, I really liked having you on. This is
Thanks, man.
probably one of my top favorite episodes right now.
We got
One or
deep.
two,
We got into a lot of good stuff.
you know. So thank you guys for being with us. You guys have any last things to say, Tristan, before you go out?
No, just keep noticing and like question everything, but don't question your instincts. Because the moment you start questioning your instincts, you're questioning just that connection that you have. And you've got to really go into your instincts, because our instincts were ingrained in us before all the propaganda was given to us. You know, so keep questioning, but don't question your instincts.
Facts. Hey, Christ is king. You know what I'm saying? And that's not hate speech, no matter what they tell you. Okay.
Of course not.
That's what they're saying. Okay. And you know who they are. Christ is king. All right. Free Palestine. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, man, you know, keep the Holy Spirit strong, and hopefully you can reach salvation, because shit's about to hit the fan. We ain't got a lot of time. It's Book of Revelations, baby. I'm ready for it to, you know, I'm just ready for it to just pop off, man. Let's just get it going. You know
It's
what I'm
like
saying?
every day I'm like, I'll be sitting somewhere and I'm like, what if a nuke went off right now and I just vaporized, you know?
The other advice, last advice I would put out there, if you have the ability to get the hell out of America in the next year or so, probably a good idea. Man, over here, right here, you got a lot of land in Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? All the Bengali people out there that got some property in Bangladesh.
Don't let them know, you know, where I'm going to escape to. Don't let them know where I'm going to escape
Saying
to.
you got some land in the motherland.
It is a place. If they want to come storming Nigeria to look for me, hey, my people, those are my people. they gonna defend me. But yeah, man, like we said, you know, thank you guys for being here with us. Keep noticing, and till next time, you know, just in case before the nukes go off, good morning, good afternoon, good night.